Well, I think the Prime Minister, when asked a question about this later on in PMQs yesterday, paid very fulsome tribute to Brianna and her family and the courage they've shown in what have been very difficult circumstances. I think if you listen to the actual clip of what was said earlier in that exchange, the Prime Minister was talking very clearly about Keir Starmer's numerous flip-flops and U-turns on all kinds of different issues. He mentioned pensions, he mentioned peerages, he mentioned public sector pay, a whole range of different things. He mentioned Keir Starmer's flip-flopping on trans issues as one of those, but he was making a point about Keir Starmer's flip-flop. And we've seen that again today with the evaporation of their policy on the green, £28 billion going up in smoke. They've got absolutely no plan. And that is the point the Prime Minister was making. It was about Keir Starmer's flip-flopping and not about anything else.
That's not how it was taken by the family. And Brianna's father has said it was dehumanising and degrading. We just heard from Mary Lou McDonald there, who her elder sister was born a man. She says that the Prime Minister should apologise. He strayed out of his lane. It was inappropriate, what he said. I've made mistakes and had to apologise. I've wanted to apologise. You've made mistakes and wanted to apologise. Why is it so hard for him to apologise?
Well, he was talking very clearly about Keir Starmer's flip-flops and U-turns. It was very clearly. And I can see that. I was very, very sad to read those comments yesterday evening. I think Rishi Sunak did later in PMQs go out of his way to pay very fulsome tribute to Brianna and her family. He didn't mention, prior to that, he hadn't mentioned them at all. He was talking about Keir Starmer's policies. I think there is a wider point here for politicians, for journalists, for everybody, to keep in mind that when there are very sensitive issues being discussed, to always use respectful and measured language, lest there are unintended consequences. But I think, I've listened to the clip a couple of times, and he was very clearly talking just about Keir Starmer's flip-flops.
But the family is offended.
Yeah, no, I can see that, and I was very sad to read those comments. But I've listened to the clip. I think your viewers should listen to the clip as well, or view the clip. I think you may have played it earlier, and it was clear he was talking about Keir Starmer's flip-flops, and he mentioned a whole range of different issues.
The family's offended, and they've lost their child.
Yeah.
I mean, saying sorry is not a big deal when someone's lost their child and they're turning to the Prime Minister and saying, you have degraded and dehumanised my child.
Yeah, and he did. And when he was asked about this, when Rishi Sunak was asked about this, he paid very fulsome, as I said already, very fulsome tribute to Brianna and her family. And, yeah, he was talking about a series of flip-flops.
I know.
And he mentioned Keir Starmer's...
offended.
I've seen that. And he mentioned Keir Starmer's flip-flopping on the trans issues as one of many flip-flops. He didn't even come close to mentioning Brianna himself. It was Keir Starmer that introduced that.
Of course, Brianna was a girl. We know that Brianna's parents have been invited to meet the Prime Minister. When will that happen?
I don't know. I know that the Prime Minister would be very happy to do that, very keen to do that. I know that I think the Digital and Science Secretary wants to meet Brianna's mum to talk about issues to do with social media, which were relevant in this case. And I hope those meetings happen as soon as possible.
What's going on with the search for the Clapham attack suspect?
Well, the Metropolitan Police are using all of the resources that they're available to search for this man who perpetrated this awful attack, including using CCTV evidence. I would just say anyone that has information, please come forward with it and tell the police what you know. We need to find him as soon as possible. Is
the view that he's still alive? Because there's some speculation that he isn't.
Well, I've received no information to suggest that. I don't really want to speculate. It's obviously a live search. And somebody somewhere knows where he is. And I would just say to them, please come forward to the police. OK.
Talk to me about your new policing powers.
Well, we want to make sure that where protests happen, they are done respectfully. They don't, for example, desecrate war memorials, which is why we're taking action there. We don't want people covering up their faces to make it difficult for the police to identify those committing criminal... Excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat today.
Oh, dear, there's water.
I'm going to have some of that water.
Yeah, do. I can fill for time.
We want to make sure the police can identify those committing criminal offences at protests. We want to make sure that people's day-to-day lives, don't get disrupted by unreasonable protests. So we're making these changes. We're announcing them today. We're going to make them in the Criminal Justice Bill when it comes back to Parliament in a few weeks' time. The right to protest is an important right, but it shouldn't provide a cover for criminal offences to take place, hence the face-covering measure, and it shouldn't unreasonably disrupt other people's day-to-day lives.
OK, what about this story in The Times this morning? I don't know how much you know about it, about an alleged Russian spy he says, lied to gain asylum and then was working for Russia while they were working at GCHQ. That's a bit alarming.
Well, look, we obviously don't comment on live court cases. There are legal proceedings or on national security cases. We have obviously strengthened the law recently with the National Security Act. The security services are constantly monitoring for hostile state activity. There is obviously concern about states like Russia and China actively trying to conduct espionage activities on our soil, and our security services are constantly vigilant. And as I say, we've recently strengthened the law in this area as well. It's a threat that the Western world collectively faces from hostile states, and we need to be doing everything we can to protect ourselves against it as a government, but actually also businesses as well.
What's happened to the beard?
Well, the beard was very unpopular, I'm afraid.
At home or?
Yeah, no, at home, particularly with my daughter, and she was very unhappy about it.
Oh,
and
really?
there was...
I rather liked it, I have
Did
to
you?
say, yeah.
Okay. I wasn't so keen on that. There was a little white spot on the end.
Oh, OK.
But
so
no,
it's gone for good?
I don't know about that. I would certainly not rule out a return, but my daughter wasn't having it. She was very, very adamant.
OK. When's the next election going to be?
Well, I don't know. It's up to the Prime Minister. He said it'll be the second half of this year, so I sort of take that at face value and assume the autumn, but I'm afraid I haven't got any inside information.
Good to see you. Thanks very much indeed for taking the time. Thank you.